realm of the supernatural, tales of haunted objects have captivated the human imagination for centuries. One such mysterious entity that has gained notoriety is Robert the Doll. This seemingly innocuous yet malevolent doll has become an icon in the world of paranormal phenomena, with a chilling history that continues to intrigue and terrify those who dare to delve into its eerie story. But before we start, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all new updates.
The story of Robert the Doll begins in the early years of the 20th century in Key West, Florida, in an elegant mansion on the corner of Eaton and Simonton Street. The Otto family had lived in the house since the mid-1890s, and if you believe the rumors, they were none too kind to their servants. The story is that the Otto's young son, Robert Eugene, was particularly fond of a Bahamian maid, who was employed to look after him. The maid was dismissed in 1906, some say for practicing voodoo, others that Mrs. Otto was jealous of Robert's fondness for the girl. Before she left, the girl made a 3-foot-tall, button-eyed, straw doll for Robert. Robert adored it. Soon the family began to suspect that things were not all that they seemed with Robert and the doll. Robert was heard whispering to the doll. Not so unusual, children often confide in dolls, but what was unusual was that the Ottos and their servants heard another deeper voice answering back. The doll seemed to exert some kind of hold over the young Robert. He is said to have begun using his middle name Eugene or Gene because he said the doll's name was Robert. Violent commotion was heard in his bedroom at night. Upon entering, Gene would be found cowering in his bed, Robert sitting opposite glaring at him with furniture overturned, toys mutilated. When questioned, Gene invariably said, "It was Robert did it." Soon servants began to leave, and the family became convinced that the Bahamian maid had somehow cursed the doll. The doll was banished to the attic of the family home. It is said that the aunt who put him there died of a stroke that very night. Despite his banishment, rumors persisted. The sound of tiny footsteps and childish laughter was often heard in the attic. As Gene grew to become an adult, he became an artist and married. When his parents died, he inherited the old family home, and he and his wife Annette moved back in. It was not long before Gene found Robert in the attic, and the two were reunited. The adult Gene was constantly accompanied by Robert, much to the distaste of his wife, who is said to have loathed the doll. Eventually, Annette, exasperated by Gene's obsession with the doll, exiled Robert once again to the attic. He does not seem to have liked that, and Gene is said to have told Annette that Robert had demanded a room with a view of the street. Naturally, Gene obliged and fitted out the turret room, his studio, for Robert. Gene would spend hours locked away painting and talking to the doll. Rumors soon spread about the neighborhood. Children going past the mansion on their way to school would try not to look up at the turret room because Robert had been seen staring malevolently back at them. Worse still, he had been seen running from window to window when the family were out. People said that the doll was filled with evil voodoo relics, tiny animal bones, had a crystal heart, had human hair, was possessed by evil. Popular tradition also embroidered the legend to say that Annette died insane because of the cursed doll. Whether this is true or not, when Gene died in 1974, Annette was sane enough to get out quickly and leave Robert behind. It is said that Gene Otto's will stipulated that the house could be leased, but that Robert should be left in peace. The new family who took over the old Otto house had a 10-year-old daughter, and with the typical perversity of childhood when she saw Robert, she loved him. Robert, however, had less than affectionate intentions towards his new owner, and soon the girl was having horrific nightmares and had become convinced the doll was trying to kill her. Even decades later, she is still convinced that Robert did attack her and try to kill her. It was her terrified family who donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, where he resides. Robert sits safely behind glass in the museum, traveling once a year to the old post office to be displayed and occasionally featuring in paranormal conventions. Yet despite being over 100 years old and looking a little worse for wear, Robert is still a force to be reckoned with. Museum staff claim he has been found in different positions. Cameras break in his presence, footsteps are heard around the museum at night, and his expression is known to change in a way that can chill the blood. Visitors are advised to seek Robert's permission before photographing him or risk being cursed. In fact, letters from apologetic photographers cover the walls of his display cabinet. The truth behind the curse. Many people visit Robert as skeptics and leave convinced that there is something to the story. But how much of the story is real? The doll, it turns out, was actually manufactured by a German toy maker and presented to Jean as gift from his grandfather. So the story of the Bahamian servant and her black magic is just that. Is it also not possible that Robert Jean Otto dropped the name Robert simply because his father was also called Robert? Perhaps it was easier for the family to distinguish between the two of them that way. The voodoo, or should that be hoodoo association, is enforced by the long-held belief that Robert the doll's hair is made from human hair, more precisely the hair of Jean Otto himself, and that it has grayed over time. However, tests have revealed the hair to be a natural fiber such as wool. It has to be said that museum has a vested interest in keeping the curse story alive. There is a website, Facebook page, and Twitter account for Robert. And after all, who doesn't enjoy the frisson of coming face to face with something really evil? So long as it is safely contained behind glass, wonder whether the curse of Robert the doll hasn't actually become real simply because people want it to be real. The idea of the curse has been reinforced for nearly 100 years now. Strange things do happen around Robert. While it is unlikely the conjuring was carried out by the Bahamian maid, it may well have been carried out by all of us every time we politely ask Robert for permission to take his photo, just to be on the safe side. You can visit Robert at the Fort East Martello Museum.
The story of Robert the Doll is a chilling reminder that the line between the supernatural and reality can sometimes blur in the most unexpected ways. Whether one believes in haunted dolls or dismisses them as mere superstition, the enigma of Robert continues to captivate and terrify those who seek to uncover the truth behind one of the most haunted objects in the world. As the legend of Robert persists, so too does the mystery that shrouds this unsettling doll, inviting brave souls to contemplate the possibility that some toys may be more than they seem. Thank you for watching. See you next video.